Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kwani Has Questions on NBC 10 Boston. Joining me today is really a legend in himself, Meb Keflezighi. He is actually going to be running the marathon, the Boston Marathon specifically, 10 years after doing it and winning it in 2014. So, first of all, thank you for being with us and welcome to Boston. I know you're in Boston right now, too.
Thanks, Kwani. Thanks for having me. Great to be back with you guys.
Thank you. And I want to start with that point that I made. What inspired you to want to get back into running the Boston Marathon exactly 10 years later?
I've done 26 competitive marathons and I thought I was going to be all undone. But then in 2014, after I won the Boston Marathon, my life changed and I wanted to do a greater cause to be able to represent the foundation. So the last time I did a marathon was in 2018 for the Martin Luther King Foundation and Team for Kids in New York. So, and I said, you know what, I got to do one for the Meb Foundation, maintain excellent balance through health, education, and fitness to empower youth. So I decided, you know what, on my 10-year anniversary, I want to be able to run the streets of Boston, and what a great way to be able to run for my foundation. So that's what drive me in to get started.
Yeah, and another cause that you're also promoting as well is again related to this marathon specifically is with the Bank of America and their running program as well. I believe Play It Forward. So, how did you get involved with that specific part of the charity work?
I'm so honored to be able to be partnered up with Bank of America and also the BAA, Boston Athletic Association, Play It Forward, to be able to just through health and wellness and involvement with the community is such an integral part for everyone to be involved. And Bank of America Play It Forward just tells you life skills like self-discipline, time management, and also just balance in life because, we're so focused on doing so many things. It's a good time to have a kind of stress relief kind of thing. So to show kids on how to do the drills, get in touch with them. They're going to be obviously former Patriots players and Red Sox players, and I'm going to be there also to play forwards to be able to just show them some drills, some of the exercises in real life practically, to be able to just share with them the knowledge how to make it. Sports is a positive way to have positive influence everybody. So I believe there'll be 90 kids or youth at the Dearborn STEM Academy to be able to share some of those drills. So I'm very excited for that.
And what better way to do it than with like local legend? Well, you're considered a local legend, even though I know you're not from Boston specifically. So that sounds like a really great event. But I want to take it back just a little bit because, as I mentioned off this interview, I was reading your story. Obviously, a lot of people in the world of sports would probably know your story as well, and then specifically to Boston. But my first question was, what is your earliest memory of running, and when did you realize that you were in love with it? If you would consider that the case.
I have a book called Run to Overcome. It tells a lot of the details, but my dad has to walk over 225 miles to save his life from the war torn of Eritrea against Ethiopia to Sudan. And my first part of running was first time I saw a car when I was in Eritrea, moving from the village to the capital city. And I remember just saw a car come toward me. I said, that thing's going to run me over. So I just ran to the bushes. That's my first memory of running. And then also, when I was in physical education class in San Diego in 1988, a PE teacher named Dick Lord, who was also from Boston, big Red Sox fan, that I realized later on that he says, hey, if you run hard, you're going to get A or B, or if you mess around or goof around, you're going to get D or F. Well, I want to run hard as I can, get at that A and a t-shirt. And that's when I realized my God-given talent was discovered. I ran a 5:20 mile, and he says, you're going to go to the Olympics. I have no idea what the word Olympic meant. But I started running since then, fell in love with it, and I was known as the fastest seventh grader. My picture was in the gymnasium, and started giving me a high five and thumbs up, and that's when I fell in love with it. I didn't think we can make a living out of it personally. It was probably 1997. I was a student athlete at UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, that I realized, oh, this is really actually gonna probably pay off for me. But there was a lot of my senior year in high school, people would say, you're going to go to the Olympic. Don't forget the small people. We're going to win medals and things like that. My yearbook signing. But it was 97 when I realized this can be a possibly profession. But ever since I fell in love with it, and I still do, to be able to just do for the health and mind and body and soul. So, I'm not competitive, but to be able to come back for, Bank of America final runner, help a cause is kind of a huge thing for this year for the Boston Marathon, and I'm running for the Meb Foundation. And so delighted that the Meb Foundation part of the Bank of America and the BAA charity program, official charity program, and you know what, it's going to be fun to be able to represent this foundation and many others that are trying to do the same thing.
I love that you mentioned not knowing whether or not it was going to actually turn into a legitimate career, because another thing you mentioned being Eritrean, a lot of children of migrants, first generation kids, usually the parents are directing you in the, solid doctor, lawyer, engineer roles. So when you mentioned it to your parents, was there ever a conversation of, this is something I want to pursue, and what was their response to that?
You
If it
know, you're exactly right. Many immigrants, they want you to be a doctor or lawyer or some kind of like profession. Run is not seen as that. And to my dad was into sports, so that was a little bit easier. But my mom always had a concern. You look too skinny, you got to be able to eat food. And she was really, she was happy for me, but at the same time, she didn't think that, especially marathon was not for me. I remember after I did my first marathon, she's like, 5K, 10K, no more marathons for you because I hit the wall. She saw me in such a pain. But to your point, Kwani, is that I get a lot of calls from coaches to try to pursue the Ethiopian and other immigrants to say, hey, please talk to the parents so they can see what you have accomplished because we feel like they have the talent. So I made numerous of calls to different immigrants' family to say, hey, is going to help them be a better students. I really believe that even with my foundation for youth is maintain excellent balance. You can't just be student all the time. You need a balance in your life. It's going to hopefully translate to better students by doing sports and hopefully a better contributor to our society. But yeah, fortunately, I have a brother and a sister who are doctors and all that stuff. So my parents are living through their other kids. I just run. They said we gave you all the genetic for running to you, and then the other stuff for them.
at least they have the ones that they're still gonna always be proud of. Like they're always be proud of you. And the funny part is like once you make it like the way you have, then they're like, oh yeah, I always knew that you were gonna be. I mean, with the parents supporting you in general. But that's beautiful that they even have you advocating for other young students that are interested in pursuing that as a career. But I was looking on your Instagram, and one thing that I really appreciated is the meaning of your name. I love names, like my name's very unique as well, but yours is Meb, if I'm saying that correctly,
Good job.
and it's let there be light, which is so beautiful. So, and the reason why I ask is I feel like a lot of times people just, you'll have a name and, people may not think as much into it. But being that you have had such a successful career, how do you think the name of your role, I mean, your name has played a role in who you are in a sense? And
Well,
who
that's a great question, and then a lot of my brothers and sisters kind of give me credit for that. Especially my brother Howie, who's my manager, has been the light of the family. But
you.
to the runners world, to the running scene or seen is that let there be light. Marathon, hopefully I've been a light not only in Boston but also during the Olympics, giving hope for others. And then one in New York, and then also the biggest of all was winning the Boston Marathon in 2014 after that horrific moment that we have all experienced. And so to live by that name, was given by my parents to be able to just, you know, I was supposed to be for the oldest one, but somebody else had that name, and then they wanted to pass it on. And then when it came to me, Mebrahtom, named by my uncle, who says he wanted a younger brother, and his mom says, I can't have a kids, but you have a name. He's like, yeah, I have a name. What is it? It's Mebrahtom, the one that will shine the world. And then that name was passed on to me. So I feel, it's a small part of how fully I've been a shine to the world in terms of running, and especially with the Meb Foundation. You can always go to the givenandgain.com to help for the funds that the charity runs are embracing. But with my name, hopefully, I try to maintain excellent balance through health, education, fitness, not only in Boston or Tampa, San Diego, but globally, just like the many other charities. So this year, 2024, the Boston Marathon and Bank of America are highlighting the charity runners. I'm so honored to be able to be part of that team to enlighten people, to have energy and give a positive influence to the charity component of it. So that's hopefully the name will also synchronize with it.
You tied that in perfectly well. I'm sure your PR people are very proud of you for that one. But I buried the lead though. I mentioned your accolades. I want to actually be specific about it. You are and still are the first American to win the New York Marathon, New York City Marathon, the Boston Marathon, as well as an Olympic medal, a feat in itself. But the 2024 Paris Olympics are coming up. I'm sure you've been at least keeping your eye on the marathoners that are going to be included. But what are you looking forward to from this upcoming Olympic Games?
It's in Paris, so there's everybody's
Like,
excited.
yeah,
Everyone's want to be there, but the only way for the United States to qualify is to be top three, and you purchase your ticket to the
right.
beautiful scene of Paris. And I think I'm excited. Obviously, the marathon's already been solidified already by Connor Mance and Clayton Young, and Leonard career is on the male side. And then I'm excited for that, because at the same time that passing on the baton to those guys and see what they can do when it comes to Paris. And obviously Fiona Kafir, and then also Emily Sisson. Lone Worm is the female that made the top three. So it's going to be exciting to be able to just watch them, obviously. And then the rest of the spectrum is waiting to see who can make it. There's more pressure on the Olympic trials than the Olympics, because once you punch your ticket, you're excited, just happy to be there. And then if you want to put yourself through the magnitude of working harder and visualizing yourself on the podium, I guess the stress level goes a little bit higher. But the pressure of making the Olympic team is big, and those marathoners already had solidified. Now they can train and prepare for the Paris Olympic Games coming August.
And thanks for that insight. I do want to quickly one more time go back to the marathon, because as we mentioned, you are running it for a great cause. How do you prepare for your marathon runs in general, and what are you most looking forward to this upcoming Monday? I can't believe it's Monday.
I know, I can't believe it. I need more time. You can never feel you're ready for a marathon, but that means you care a lot about it. But I feel like when I was training, I was running about 100 to 130 miles a week. But now with this marathon as a charity runner, I've been running 5 days a week. I've run 4 to 6 miles a day, and then gradually just increase the mileage, so without getting injured. And I made it all the way to 16, 17, and then eventually I made a 122-mile run. So because it's Boston, you want to be able to be as ready as you can, especially with those fields. They're not going to be easy and friendly. So but the excitement, the crowd, the enthusiasm of the Patriots Day, they come out full swing to be able to support you. So it's the city of champions. So people know their sports in Boston. So they're very excited for Marathon Monday coming up on April 15, 2024. I'm so delighted to be partake of that as a charity runner. And 10 years after I won the Boston Marathon, I'm thankful to the Bank of America for celebrating this with me. And running them for the Meb Foundation is going to be a great honor. Hopefully people can come and support us throughout, from Hopkinton all the way to Boston.
Wait, excuse my ignorance, because I probably should have looked this up earlier, but I'll admit I don't know this. As a charity runner, are you still allowed to win or no? Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, are you allowed to compete with the?
You are, but I'm not. You got to know your body.
Okay.
The training is a good indicator of what's to come, and
Gotcha.
I'm definitely not there.
Okay, I got you. I was thinking about. I was like, it's really, because I would be honestly. Right. All right. Final question for me as we close out. Obviously, you're known as a marathoner and for your athletic accolades, but aside from the work that you do, how would you define Meb on like a day-to-day?
Well, I hope I am fun to be around with most of the time. If I'm running, that's my caffeine and get it going. But just to maintain excellent balance. Hopefully, the interaction that you come across people, it could be for 30 seconds, 5 seconds. Hopefully that's a positive. And that's why my legacy to be and be able to interact with people and make sure that they feel welcome and included in the conversations, inclusiveness. And at the end of the day, I love my fellow runners, because they kind of tell you where they were when I won the Boston Marathon. So these are the stories or when I was winning silver medal at the Olympics or partaking in other races like New York. So for me, the interaction is important. I think if I could do that, I'd be happy and looking forward to it, especially when I come to Boston. All of those runners want to come and have a little bit of time with me. So I'm definitely available for that.
Well, Meb, thank you so much for joining. Kwani has questions, and continue to let that light shine. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, Kwani. You have good questions too.